Welcome in, Notre Dame fans. Mason Plummer here with Mike Singer, recruiting analyst over at blueandgold.com, here to discuss the commitment that happened today. Four-star corner Jaden Mickey commits to Notre Dame. Mike, kind of out of the blue, not sure that anybody was expecting it necessarily this soon. Notre Dame's first defensive back of the 2022 class, Jaden Mickey. Tell us kind of what he's like as a player and how this kind of came together.
Yeah, he's impressive. Let's look at the rivals ranking here. A four-star prospect, um, recently bumped up from three-star status in the last rankings update. Number 35 corner in the country, a number 20 player in the state of California. Top group of Cal, Northwestern, Notre Dame, Oregon. Combination of academics, athletics, like with so many recruits, push Notre Dame over the top. So, Mason, before we started recording, we watched his film together, and I think what stood out the most to me was just how technically sound he is. And when he's not catching a punt like this interception, which you do see some nice athleticism and speed here. So when he's not catching punts, man, he is a scrappy player too. Like he is on an island. This pass here that he intercepted off Bryce Young, who very well might be Alabama's starting quarterback this season. He's out on an island. You see him pre-snap there, right before the ball snap, dropping back into coverage. Like he's a smart football player. He is left out on an island against very, very good competition out here in Southern California. Corona Centennials, always playing great teams. Again, out on an island, gets his head around, makes plays, bunch of interceptions in 2019. Again, if you're looking at this and being like, oh, he looks a little small, this is his sophomore tape, guys. This is 2019. So this receiver here, number 88, we were trying to figure out who it is. We're not 100% sure. But in this game, you're going to see like he had like 10 passes defended on that single coverage on that young man alone. And Jaden Mickey, I mean, they clearly were testing Mickey, and he delivered because he had just looked like an outstanding game here against him. Here we are again against that same team, but again, hits. He's technically sound, left out on an island. The size is better. I think he's probably about 5'10", 5'11" here. You know, now he's about 6 feet, 175 pounds. So all in all, this is the Notre Dame's first commitment in the class, a four-star player. Has played against great competition. I'm really looking forward to seeing him this spring. California is playing a high school spring season, so looking forward to seeing what he can offer.
Yeah, most definitely. He'll have some added tape to an already impressive highlight reel. And as you mentioned, this is his sophomore tape playing against much bigger receivers. And Mike, what really stands out to me is that the first thing you mentioned was that his instincts and then his technical ability are top notch. So that's different from the kind of corners that Notre Dame's got in past recruiting classes, where you see guys that are the more project pieces that need to work on their game, maybe weren't a corner before, need to transition to corner. When he's a flat out corner that's
Yeah.
being heavily recruited, and Notre Dame went in and got him, and now you have a guy who's already comfortable at corner and is locking down receivers that look how much bigger this guy is.
Yeah,
He's still
that's the
scrapping.
matchup that keeps happening. That Jaden's just locking him down.
So he's big. He's smaller than this guy, excuse me, and he's able to get his hand in and just play really tight coverage and like on an island again by himself. So he's not afraid of bigger wide receivers, and I think that's going to serve him really well as he continues to get bigger. And then once he's in the Notre Dame strength and training program, man, I'm excited for this kid's future.
More of this matchup, like we talk about, and I don't like this kid he's playing against is clearly huge, but I don't want any notion that Jaden's small. Like, and yeah, I mean Tariq Bracy probably, when 2019 he's probably what 5'9", 5'10", starting quarterback on the field for Notre Dame. So I think he's playing against these bigger boundary receivers, but I think that he can play out to the field and do just a fine job for Notre Dame. He tackles well. He's clearly been coached very well, that's for sure.
So, Mike, Now we kind of broke down some a little bit. What does this commitment mean for Notre Dame in the grand scheme of things? We made a joke just the other day on our recruiting wrap that Notre Dame is strictly recruiting guys named Jaden for the cornerback position. This is the first one. What does it mean for the cornerback position in general? Could there be more Jadens coming?
Yeah, absolutely. First one to mention that, you know, we talk about all the time. Notre Dame needs to recruit, top players out on the perimeter.
Yep.
I think Jaden Mickey fits that, especially when guys are going to see him this spring play his junior season, because Notre Dame just had to do a lot of homework here. And Mickey has sent in a lot of tape, him running a 40. That's how we got his offer from Brian Polian. Was Polian kind of fell in love with Mickey as a player, and the one thing they really wanted was that verified 40 time. So Mickey sent that into Notre Dame. He said he ran two 40-yard dashes within a day of them asking. And then he got the offer from the Irish. So he's a competitor, clearly. I think the smarts, you can just tell when someone just has that kind of natural leadership ability on the field. Like, he is definitely a corner to me, but I feel like you could play him at free safety to call everything out and be that, kind of that center fielder back there, who can just cover a lot of ground. But yeah, in terms of what it means, Notre Dame is getting a 4-star cornerback to start their DB class. And I think one thing to definitely watch here is, so Notre Dame is going to take, probably 4, maybe 5 total defensive backs in this class. Well, once you get one, now the ball is going to start to roll in here. Now that puts some other players on alert, like, all right, Notre Dame's going to start getting commitments here. I might be leaning Notre Dame. I got to go grab my spot. So you mentioned the other Jadens, Jaden Goulden, Jaden Bellamy, from Bergen Catholic in New Jersey, teammate of Notre Dame quarterback commit Steve Angeli. Nikai Martinez from Florida. I have a future cast pick in for Gould to land at Notre Dame. Devin Moore is a big-time corner / safety player in the state of Florida. Emory Floyd, a safety from Georgia. I don't know, Mason. There's like a dozen really nice defensive back prospects on the board for Notre Dame. And I think Notre Dame, the defensive class overall, is just looking really strong right now.
Yeah, Notre Dame's in a great position for a lot of different position groups. So it's a good thing to see a lot of options. And Mike, we've highlighted a couple of times on the message board now that on the blueandgold.com, you'll be able to check that out in Rockney's roundtable, that Notre Dame might have to say no to a couple guys just because they're in such a great position for so many different players. It's a unique position to be in. It's a little bit different, but it's definitely not a bad thing. So, Mike, you mentioned some leaders for some other guys that Notre Dame is in on. Who led in this recruitment? He was down to a top group. But did Notre Dame lead from the jump since the offer? Was this kind of come on over time?
Yeah, so Notre Dame offered him early February, and I think right from there they jumped up to the top of his recruitment. Oregon was probably the school in the lead there, but look at Cal and Northwestern, 2 other teams, that were in the mix. Great academic schools, and I know his family is very intelligent people, well educated, so just kind of comes from that strong family background, and just a kid who's going to fit Notre Dame very well. I just want to say we give a ton of credit to Mike Mickens and Marcus Freeman right now. This dynamic duo from Huber Heights High School, and then they coached together. They played together at Huber Heights in Ohio, and they coached together at Cincinnati. And now they're at Notre Dame, and they're killing it. Brian Polian, who I talked about, he led this recruitment, so I got to give credit to Brian Polian. The credit is due there. This was a guy that he fought for to get Notre Dame to offer him. And of course, you got to give some credit to Mickens and Freeman, too. They're certainly involved here. But Polian, Freeman, Mickens, Notre Dame staff went out and got a 4-star cornerback to start this defensive back class. Solid get. I'm looking forward to seeing what people have to say about him in the comment section.
Well, guys, there it was, 4-star corner Jaden Mickey committing to Notre Dame, Notre Dame's first defensive back commitment of the 2022 class. You have it right here. Be sure to check out blueandgold.com for the commit story, the commit impact, and much more. You've had it here from Mike Sayer and Mason Plummer. Thanks, guys.